He just dude crazy. Like, he just talk a lot of shit, and I just like to sit there.
NBA YoungBoy just set the internet on fire with shocking claims about Birdman, and the story runs way deeper than anyone expected. According to YoungBoy, the man he once looked up to had been using him, pulling strings behind the scenes, and quietly working to sabotage his career. And that's only the beginning. When things finally got too real, YoungBoy didn't hold back, called out the OG by name. The streets had been whispering for years, but nobody saw this coming down on June 9th, 2024. Everything changed. When DJ Academics posted the track Tears of War on YouTube, it was clear this wasn't just another diss record. This was raw, unfiltered family business, put on blast for the whole world to hear. The pain in YoungBoy's voice hit different. This wasn't rap beef, this was betrayal. Real recognized real, and you could hear the hurt in every bar. What made the situation even more cold-blooded is the timing. Tears of War was reportedly the last song YoungBoy recorded before federal agents raided his Utah home in April. He was already under intense pressure, fighting battles on all sides, only to realize that someone he viewed as a father figure had been playing with his mind and his money. The moment that stunned everyone was when YoungBoy finally said out loud what many in the streets already believed but were afraid to say. No subliminals. No coded lines. He went straight at Birdman's neck with truths that cut deeper than any physical beef ever could.
How's your relationship blossomed throughout the years?
He just dude crazy. Like, he just talk a lot of shit, and I just like to sit there. That's my fire. I like when he pop this shit.
Looking back at that old clip, it's clear just how green Lil Homie was at the time. You can hear him talking about how he loved when Birdman would pop that talk, not realizing it was all game being run. He was soaking up the energy, thinking he'd finally found a real one, someone who was going to put him on, guide him, and show him how the industry really works. What he didn't see was that the OG was lining him up for a long play. Now, let's be real about who we're talking about. Brian Birdman. Williams isn't just some random figure in hip-hop. He's been moving pieces in this game since before most of today's rappers were even born. Cash Money Records was his empire, and he turned it into a billion-dollar machine by spotting young, hungry talent and shaping them into superstars. His resume speaks for itself. He took Lil Wayne from a kid in the projects to one of the greatest rappers of all time, helped build Drake into a global icon, and elevated Nicki Minaj into the undisputed queen of our AP. So, when Birdman first locked in on YoungBoy around 2018, he saw that same raw hunger and unfiltered talent that once reminded him of Wayne. The Baton Rouge rapper was already buzzing heavy off-street anthems and pain-filled records, but he was also constantly in trouble with the law, making him both a star in the making and a major headache for Atlantic Records to manage.
NBA YoungBoy might be the biggest rapper. I said that 5 years ago.
What you mean big when you say big?
Ain't no gonna be bigger than NBA YoungBoy. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
He the biggest YouTube artist right now in the world, and he behind the wall.
Birdman was laying the praise on heavy, calling YoungBoy the next big thing, like he was destined to run the game. And when a legend like Birdman gives you that kind of cosign, it hits different. It feels like a blessing straight from the rap gods. At the time, Atlantic Records was struggling to manage YoungBoy's non-stop legal issues and unpredictable behavior. So when Birdman stepped in offering guidance, it felt like perfect timing, almost like fate. But Birdman wasn't just presenting himself as a business move. He was selling something deeper. He positioned himself as a father figure to a young artist who was clearly searching for direction. YoungBoy had already lived through more pain and trauma than most grown men ever will. Raised in the harsh reality of Baton Rouge, where survival is never guaranteed, he learned early that you either escape the streets or become another statistic. So, when Birdman came around talking family, loyalty, protection, and wisdom, it was exactly what YoungBoy needed to hear. Their first collaboration, We Poppin', Off Until Death Call My Name, showed real promise. The chemistry was undeniable. Birdman's veteran confidence blended perfectly with YoungBoy's raw, emotional intensity. And when they announced in the Bayou in 2018, it felt like a true Louisiana moment. An OG passing the torch, and the next generation ready to take the throne.
But I'm just saying, when that little boy get his mind right, and he come from under this bull and understand who he is, because you know, Thugger and all them, they up in age. They 30, it's 20.
But you think they going through ain't doing that but helping him to his path to do that, though.
Of course.
Yeah.
They ain't making him nothing but a monster.
Birdman was running that smooth talk, telling YoungBoy that every struggle he faced was just pressure turning him into something greater. According to him, the legal problems, the street chaos, all was part of the process fuel meant to create a monster in the rap game. For a young artist drowning in pressure and confusion, hearing that kind of reassurance from a legend who claimed he'd already survived it all felt like the validation YoungBoy desperately needed. But this is where the game starts getting grimy. While Birdman was preaching father-son loyalty and mentor-protege love, there were real ones in the streets who already saw the play coming. When From the Bayou finally dropped in December 2021 after endless delays, people noticed something was off. It didn't feel like a true collaboration. It sounded more like a YoungBoy's solo project with Birdman's name stamped on it. His presence was light, almost invisible. That's when the whispers started. The energy didn't match the talk. Birdman was publicly claiming YoungBoy like family, but when it was time to really show up and put in work, the follow-through wasn't there. And for those who knew the history, it all felt familiar. Folks started remembering how Birdman had played similar games before, especially with Lil Wayne, when Wayne tried to level up and take control of his career. Real ones began trying to warn YoungBoy, pointing out the patterns they were seeing. Even Lil Wayne himself tried to drop some wisdom back in 2020 with that line on multiple flows, "I had told YoungBoy to watch out for old heads." That wasn't a throwaway bar. That was a veteran speaking from scars, trying to stop another young soldier from walking into the same trap that nearly ruined his own career. But when you're young, hungry, and someone's promising you the world, it's hard to hear warnings about the very person you believe is there to save you. Wayne had already lived through the full cycle with Birdman from the love and big promises to the lawsuits, legal wars, and allegations of over $151 million in unpaid royalties. The message Wayne was trying to pass down to YoungBoy was simple. Don't trust a shine, especially when it's coming from someone with a history of leaving wreckage behind. That wasn't Haiti, it was experience talking. But YoungBoy was in a vulnerable place. He was facing serious legal pressure, needed real guidance from someone who understood the industry, and Birdman appeared to be offering everything he was missing: mentorship, connections, protection, and most importantly, someone claiming to genuinely care about him beyond just the money. 2022 and 2023 unfolded. Birdman kept the image alive. He even publicly defended YoungBoy when podcasters like Joe Budden took shots at him. On the surface, it looked like a true mentor standing 10 toes down for his protege. But behind the scenes, cracks were forming. YoungBoy started peeping how Birdman really moved. Promises that once sounded powerful began to feel empty. That father figure energy that pulled him and started feeling more like manipulation. And the unconditional support he thought he had, it slowly revealed itself to be anything but. The realization that he'd been played by someone he trusted with both his life and career hit harder than any rap beef ever could. This was a young artist who had already survived more trauma than most people face in a lifetime. Yet betrayal from a supposed father figure cut deeper than bullets or courtrooms ever could. Be why 2024. With YoungBoy facing serious federal charges and stuck in a house arrest in Utah, the weight of that alleged betrayal became impossible to hold in. Known for keeping it brutally honest in his music, no matter the consequences, YoungBoy decided it was time to tell the streets exactly what was really going on behind closed doors. The result was a 6-minute confession that didn't just expose his own pine, it pulled back the curtain on the true nature of one of hip-hop's most powerful figures, the realest diss ever. When Tears Award dropped, every real one in the culture knew we were witnessing something different. This wasn't your usual rap beef, full of posturing and empty threats. This was raw, unfiltered pain turned into bars a young artist, exposing betrayal of someone he once considered family. Every line hit with a weight you can't fake. The production set the mood perfectly, dark, haunting, and tense, reflecting YoungBoy's mental state. But it was when he started spitting that the real damage landed. This wasn't just rapping, it was therapy colliding with street justice. Every word carried weight. The moment that shook the culture came when YoungBoy dropped that line about Stunna never loving him and how he should have listened to Carter. Real recognized real. That wasn't just a diss, it was a young soldier finally admitting he'd been outmaneuvered by a veteran who had been playing these games long, before YoungBoy was born. The reference to Lil Wayne's warning hit everyone who knew the history. Wayne had tried to school YoungBoy about Birdman, but the youngster, Caught up in promises and potential, hadn't listened. Now he was publicly acknowledging he should have paid attention. And it wasn't just the admission, it was the vulnerability. In a culture that equates weakness with being soft, YoungBoy laid his emotions bare, showing strength through honesty. That kind of courage separates real ones from fakes. The track dug deeper, detailing alleged betrayals, unkept promises, and love that turned out to be conditional. This wasn't just business, it was emotional manipulation. Birdman had positioned himself as a father figure, only to use that trust for his own gain. And the timing made it even more powerful. Recorded right before YoungBoy's arrest, the track captures the raw feelings of betrayal while he was facing serious legal consequences. The isolation, the weight of the moment, the sense of being cornered, it all comes through in every single bar.
A lot of that's like go on in BR, you know, a lot of this stem from New Orleans. You know, that's like where the real gangsters come from. That's where a lot of shit got bloody at first. It's kind of like where we learned a lot of
This clip hits different when you put it in the context of Tears of War. YoungBoy had always shown respect for New Orleans and its deep influence on Louisiana culture, but the lessons he got from Birdman, a legend and one of the city's most successful exports, were far harsher than he expected. Betrayal, manipulation, and hidden agendas were lessons he never signed up to learn. One of the most gut-wrenching parts of the track is how YoungBoy exposed his own emotional needs and how they have been exploited. Here's a young soldier, built his reputation on being real in the streets and honest on wax, admitting he craved guidance and support that Birdman seemed to offer. The sting of betrayal cut deeper because YoungBoy had genuine love for someone who apparently only saw him as a business opportunity. The financial side came under fire too. YoungBoy suggested Birdman dangle deals and opportunities in front of him without ever following through, a pattern that eerily mirrored the claims Lil Wayne made during his own legal battle over millions in withheld royalties. But what sets Tears of War apart from a typical diss track is the tone. There's no anger, no posturing, just pure sadness and disappointment. This wasn't a young man trying to destroy an enemy. It was a young man mourning the loss of someone he trusted and loved. The pain in his voice hits harder than any aggressive bars ever could. The track also revealed how deeply Birdman had inserted himself into YoungBoy's personal life. There were hints of overstepping boundaries, getting involved in relationships and private matters that should have been off limits for a mentor. That level of emotional control painted a picture of manipulation designed to maintain power over a younger artist. The reference to Wayne's warning only amplified the message, showing this wasn't just YoungBoy's experience, was part of a recurring pattern, one that veterans of the game had already seen play out before Wayne's relationship with Birdman had followed the same playbook. Early love and support, followed by financial disputes, and eventually full-blown legal battles. That Wayne had tried to warn YoungBoy shows he recognized the warning signs history was repeating itself. The production on Tears of War amplified every ounce of that emotional weight.